Hey everyone, welcome to Project Call 2 for KEKDAO and Non-Fungible Universe. We're excited to get back in touch with everyone and let everyone know what we're doing. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to let Tyler and D-Mob talk a little bit about the DAO. We're going to let Tyler start and we'll let D-Mob finish any of the details that Tyler leaves out.
Yep. So just in general, this will be a community-driven call, a community-driven protocol. We'll be releasing information about the DAO because the KEK token will govern the DAO. And so most of the details around token distribution, everything of that nature, they'll be releasing shortly. We have probably what I'm hoping is our final call with the attorney today. And at this point, most of the questions are really not around token distribution or the way that we are distributing the token. They're mostly around the auction mechanics. So we have D-Mob with Cesar leading that effort on the DAO. The DAO will launch in very close conjunction with yield farming. And so basically the governance of the token will start getting distributed as soon as, well, maybe not as soon as we launch the DAO, but in very close conjunction. And so the yield farming will essentially be a proof of capital yield farming distribution. There will be 7 different tokens that you can essentially utilize to yield farm KEK. The thought process is both from the people who have been extremely active contributors in the internal channels. Some of those people actually run protocols, and we very much want to align with their communities for the success of the project long term. And so we can talk about like what those 7 tokens are later. But long story short, there will be 7 different pools with 7 different tokens that you'll be able to utilize to farm the KEK token. Also, we will be doing an airdrop to the community members, and then a lot of the like core contributors and people who have been extremely involved since the very beginning will also be getting KEK tokens. So there will be a pretty wide distribution of the token from the onset. And I don't know what other details we probably should go over about the DAO, other than saying that it is it's very similar in structure, both at the interface level as well as the just basic fundamentals level as the Barnbridge DAO. The one major governance difference will be that our token will have an annual inflation that will be controlled by the DAO. And that can basically be turned on, turned off, increased, or decreased down to 0, which is essentially the same thing as turning it off. And yeah, outside of that, everything that we are doing, the fees that accrue to the DAO based on those efforts, well, not even efforts, just like at aggregate, the protocol in general will accrue fees to the DAO. And the point of the DAO and the community is to not only help with the governance of the protocol, but also to help determine where we send those fees and how they're utilized.
Perfect. Thank you, Tyler. I think Tyler kind of mentioned some of the yield farming things going on. And Troy or D-Mob, do you guys want to just expand a little bit more on the yield farming aspect, or are we still a little bit in the gray area?
I would actually prefer to hand that over to D-Mob, but the interesting thing about the yield farming is definitely the multiple amount of tokens that are able to be used. That's my.
Yep, and just to add on that, the LP with sushi. So, but it's pretty much, yeah. Details are hashing out. That's gonna be upcoming soon.
And I think that was one of the questions in the Discord that I saw. So somebody asked, what tokens will we be able to use to farm? And I think we decided that we could share that info. And so right off the bat, we'll be able to use Aave tokens, bond tokens, link, compound, alluvium, synthetics, network tokens, sushi tokens, and then like Drago said, the Keck liquidity pool will be held on sushi and will most likely be a USDC Keck pool. I think that is the main, and you'll be farming Keck, and basically how I think that's going to look is you're going to have to the same way that the Barn Bridge DAO was set up. Like if you're farming one of those currencies, you'll have to claim them at once. I don't know if you're gonna be able to claim them all at the same time. So I know people like to know about that kind of stuff, but I'm gonna pass it over to Al, and he's gonna talk to you guys a little bit about some of the characters that we're gonna be creating and some of the NFTs and some things along those lines. But I'll let him take over for a minute.
So basically with the characters, right now we have about 69 characters. We're pretty much going to stick with that number. We might split it up into separate drops, like of 23, where it's 3 separate drops of 23 characters. Our goal is to have a background for each character, like a lore type. Right now, I'm currently working on creating the lore for every character. Like for Ape, for example, I have a story that we're gonna make into that we're making actually into a comic. It's about how he goes and retrieves an item from a temple, kind of like Indiana Jones themed. All of them, all the comics. Let me explain. Like each character is going to have a comic that is 10 pages long with 2 panels on each page. So 20 panels for each story. I have a bunch of them already sketched, but basically once the artists finish the art for the characters, they're gonna move over to the comics, and we're gonna get 69 stories done, each like a different genre. Like they're not going to be all similar, they'll all be different, but we'll have 69 stories, and we're gonna NFT each page off the story. I can't get into like details about how that will go down, but that's basically how we're gonna do it. Each page will be separated, but yeah, the stories are sick. They're like very interesting. Some of them are funny. Some of them are like action. Some of them are like, I haven't done any romance ones, but I might do some like romance ones, like just all types of genres. It's going to be sick. People are going to really get into it. And then I'm going to also, like, once I get done with that, I'm going to even make like a bigger expanded lore on like characters that people enjoy, and like even lore on like just the planets. And I already have a bunch written. Before I started the comics, I was already getting into that, but I've switched over fully onto the comics. Like every day I've been working on new, I try to get at least one story done each day, but sometimes I get writer's block, you know, but it's going pretty well so far.
Nice. One thing, just so the community understands like what's going on with the stories. I think I touched on this on the last community call, but basically we will have what are called like core drops that are the best way to describe them is it's like a cron job where like the DAO will outsource like the creation of stories to people on the core team. They're not always going to be stories. They are always going to be like NFT drops. So we will basically code some of the like frameworks for like how to launch, like how to do a good comic book drop on chain. We're also working with like the Lime Chain team on 2 versions of what we call polymorphic NFTs. I don't want to get into like details because we tend to have people that like front run us on ideas. However, I will say that like it won't be anything similar to the first drop. So like every single drop that we do, we'll release with Creative Commons for the content. So like people can basically go use it. And we'll also be open sourcing all the code so that when someone wants to come and drop like a game on our platform, they want to drop a comic book on our platform, we're providing the framework where it's easier for them to do that. So the more like core drops that we do, not only does that bring fees back to the treasury, it also at scale will have a lot of materials for artists to be able to come on and start playing with.
Yeah, Tyler makes some really good points. And like almost everything that we're going to be doing is going, like if we're doing a core drop, we're going to be trying to utilize as many of the tools built on KeckDAO as we can to show you guys that really what the true possibilities are. So like even with the comics, like we're gonna have social galleries, and if you owned all the comics of that, all 10 pages, you could have a slideshow of the comic and play it, and you have all 10 pages, and then it's like watching an NFT comic book on your computer. You don't even have to switch the pages. So like really, while it seems like we're just making comics, there is a much larger picture here to what we're actually doing. And we really just want to build this ecosystem of tools for artists to be able to utilize and do whatever they, create their creations. And then if you want to do something with some of our characters like Daryl, we encourage that. Like we want people to be making short films and, making fan art and fiction and more stories about Daryl, because it just creates more hype for the character. And then we know people like the character and other people like the character. And that's just really the main thing, is we just want to show that you can build, this platform is meant to build up characters, communities, and NFTs, and really share your kind of love for NFTs basically. But I think we covered a lot on the characters. I'll try to edit some of the characters in while Allie's talking on the YouTube. But Tyler, do you want to talk about any of the white paper or the docs? I know people are so ready for the docs.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I mean, we have to have final sign off with the attorney on a couple points. I wouldn't say that we've like deprioritized like getting that done. It's more that we've prioritized like code and actually releasing everything. So I don't want to give the impression that we've just been like planning this entire time. We've actually been building, and there's actually a lot done both on the React application and all of the designs. So it is coming together. In terms of the announcements, I've really erred in the side of making sure everything's bulletproof before we start releasing information. So you'll probably start seeing stuff at like, whenever it does start to come out, it's going to come at rapid fire. Cause like, not only are we going to release like the white paper, which will very much be like a light version of a white paper. We'll also start, releasing the DAO information, the yield farming information, like the what is universe and KeckDAO articles. So yeah, long story short is the docs are coming, and when they start to come, they're gonna be a lot of them subsequently.
Well, that's exciting news. I know everyone is really excited about the docs and is freaking out in Discord about it. But it looks like we have a bunch of questions from people in Discord. It looks like the main question is when docs. So we answered that. It looks like we answered yield farming questions. It looks like the other question that we have here that is repeated is, when am I going to be able to mint NFTs or create my own collection on the platform?
I would say that some of that's going to be up to the DAO. We need to essentially come up with like a framework for approvals. But the answer is a lot of that'll probably be managed in Discord to start. And people who have been super supportive of the project, like early on, if they have like a quality drop, like we're not going to like shy away from it. Like we want people launching quality things on our platform. I don't want to give out hard timelines on when everything actually launches. But let's say that you will all know the answers to those questions by the time that you need to know the answer to those questions, meaning like when we're actually like you'll know before we launch the auction platform like how we're gonna handle all of that stuff. And hopefully like I mean I know I'm giving like a really vague answer, but that's like the most information that I have at the moment.
Okay, I think that's sort of sufficient, but we'll take whatever we can get at this point. Okay. One last question it looks like we have is there any partnerships with artists planned for the upcoming launch? And I think I can answer that. Currently, we have a few artists that are involved with the project, like Justin Blau, RAC, Dylan Francis. We have, I believe Kyle Gordon is also an artist who's involved. But we have a few big artists. I'm not sure if they're going to be like, I don't think they're going to be exclusive to KeckDAO or anything like that, but we are definitely talking to artists and pitching KeckDAO to them and non-fungible universe and all the tools that they're going to be able to use. Basically, everything from community building to NFTs, minting to custom tokens, custom ERC tokens. So yes, the answer is yes. We are hoping and we are already talking to a lot of artists. We're not going to say who is dropping right now, but there are definitely big name artists that are going to be dropping on the platform. We have people with a lot of connections and know a lot of the big artists in the NFT space. So I would definitely expect people to be using our platform. And even the small names, we have a lot of smaller artists that we want to port over because we think that they have just as important of communities as well. So.
Yep. And like even what like Tim, one of our co-founders, is doing with like his 7 grants program, like he's spent like the last month like vetting out artists that he's basically going to be giving grants for like his program, and he's got like pretty substantial like backers. I mean, on top of just like clout in the NFT space. But I would say that I have had through the investor network and just like what I call like the brain trust, we've had very, very, very like top level, even media companies that have like been asking about the same thing everyone else is, like when is this launching, where are the docs, like what is universe. So I would say like one of the reasons we've been a little guarded is because we're expecting a floodgate. So yeah, basically the community in Discord and on Twitter are not the only people that are waiting for a lot of information at this point.
That also, on the other side of, are there big artists coming to NFU and KeckDAO? There's also very large collectors, Whale Shark and people, G Money are investors in the project, and I'm sure they are going to try and port over their communities. And they have Whale Shark has an amazing community. The whale community, I'm sure a lot of people know about that in the NFT space, but I think big collectors are just as important as big artists, and even people who don't own NFTs. I make a really strong point about this, that artists collectors, viewers, admirers, and owners are all very important to the space of art and NFTs, because while you don't have to be an owner of an NFT or a piece of art, you can still admire it and enjoy it. And they do create economies. Like, the reason that museums are a thing is because there are people who admire art. And I think that NFTs are, there's these groups where, people, they want them exclusive or this or that, but I think that just everyone in this equation is just as important. And KeckDAO really wants to bring everyone to the equation, whether you're just a viewer and you want to look at NFTs, or you're a collector, or, an artist, whatever you are, KeckDAO, as long as you're interested in NFTs, we hope that it provides some sort of value for you. So I think that's basically all we got. Does anybody want to add anything to this call? Or I know it's kind of a shorter call, but we're still limited on what we want to put out in the air.
Yep.
Probably in 2 weeks, we will have a lot more to say.
Yeah, by the next call. And like, I'm just looking through these questions. Like the guy Sosa, he's asking about private round. Like, that's done. It's been over for a very long time. How should artists, individuals with the original IP planning to launch on the platform contact the team and dev team? I mean, Discord is a great place. And yeah, basically I think I talked about this on a prior call, but like, our DAO and our platform does not manage like the IP. Like, IP is intellectual properties managed off chain. So it's basically up to like the company or the artist that's putting it on there to basically understand how all of that works. But yeah, essentially just mentioning that because he specifically said IP. There's not a test net, but we will launch one when everything's up and running. And in terms of like the actual tokens that we're launching with for yield farming, it's a lot of like the founder and investors tokens, because like our basically people in our communities have overlapped with a lot of the announcements. So like Bond will naturally be one. Sushi, we have like OX Maki, who's pretty involved in this project. And so like we're using Sushi Swap as like the LP for liquidity as well, on top of it being one of the tokens that you can farm from. Like Compound with Robert being active in the project, Aave with Stani being active in the project. Chainlink, that's more one because we just love the Link Marines and they probably have the strongest community in crypto, but also like Chainlink God was extremely supportive of this project early on. Synthetics with Kane, also Jordan. And I mean, honestly, the whole Synthetics team has been pretty proactively helpful in this. Also, his brothers started an NFT project called Alluvium. And basically Alluvium is another, first of all, Kiera and Kane's brother actually invested into this project, but also there's like a lot of overlap. Like they 100% want to release like an Alluvium drop on our platform. So there's, quite a bit of, I don't want to say synergy because I hate that word, but it is what it is. And I'm not sure if I went over all of them. So Bond, Sushi, Synthetics, Alluvium, Aave, Compound, and Link. So that's the 7 tokens that we're starting with.
Okay. And then there is one question about land. So with the land NFTs, I mean, like, we personally are not minting land NFTs for a while. I know we would like to make games and like metaverses in the future, but that's not on our roadmap at the moment of stuff to build because our items is to build all these tools. I may be able to better answer that question in the future. I don't know if our minting function will just allow you to mint land. I'm not really sure how.
I mean, I don't really know how like the land ones work, but like virtual reality is a whole nother animal. I mean, maybe downstream where we like, like when the project is very successful, the core drops could get pretty complex, but there's other groups that are doing cool stuff with like metaverse and virtual reality, and I don't want to compete with them at that game. We kind of have our like core competencies we're good at, and I think that's what we want to focus on.
Yeah, I mean, there are some really built out metaverses already, like Decentraland and Crypto Voxels. I mean, if you haven't seen any of those, I definitely would go play around on them and check out the metaverses.
Yep.
But I think that is all we have for this project call. So thank you guys for joining us, and join us again in 2 weeks on a Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.